So, one trick to master the guitar. What could that possibly be? Am I full of shit? Let me start by saying that your journey on the guitar is eternal. Okay? It's endless. You will be trying to get better and better and better, no matter how good you get. In fact, the better you get, the more you will probably be pursuing this. But with that being said, what is this big magic trick I'm speaking of? Okay, creativity. Now, this is something that's very overlooked, but it's actually kind of obvious when you start to think about it. Now, let me explain something to you here. So, when you're learning the guitar, right, typically you're learning little ideas or patterns, right, or parts of songs. And one would think that, okay, you learn this and you learn it the way it's played, right? And there's a lot of benefits to doing this, right? Because when you learn something the way it's supposed to be played, with all the the little nuances and the perfect picking technique for that part, and you play it exactly how whoever the player is that played it, right? That's awesome. You want to strive for that. But this is where most guitar players kind of fall short, is what they do beyond that. This is the key. Because you can learn how to play something verbatim, copy all the little nuances, right? Get the vibrato down just perfect, pick it exactly how that player picks it. That's all great. But when it comes to practicing, people tend to think if I learn this little scale, there's nothing to it, there's no soul, there's no heart. Well, that's kind of where you have to look deep inside and look within yourself, because if you're feeling that way, then it's you that are the problem. Because you can take a little scale, just a simple little, I don't know, we'll take right, a little mode fragment like that, okay? And you can take that little thing and you can play that in so many different ways. And one would just look at that and go, oh, this is some exercise, right? Just, and they would just play it like that, and they would be bored to tears. And look, if you play something the same way over and over and over and over again, you're gonna get really good at playing it the same way over and over and over again. But if you do the same thing over and over and over again and you're expecting different results, well, you're not gonna get different results. That's not gonna happen. So, what you need to be doing is you need to take things that you are learning and try to put your own spin on it. Try to create different variations out of it. Take something and change the order up. Because if we go back to this little thing, okay? I could play it like that. I could play it like that. I could play it like this. Okay. Right, so I went up and back down. But there's a zillion other combinations that can happen. I could play it like this. Right? So that's like a pedal point kind of thing. I can do another grouping of fours, but where I kind of like ascend or descend, like, or, right? I could do that with threes. Okay. Are you starting to kind of see what I'm talking about here? Just within a little tiny pattern, there are so many things you can do. Let's keep going, right? Twos. Right? Okay. And again, we can do all kinds of combinations. We can do like odd numbers, right? It doesn't have to all be these like kind of like even groupings. We could do like, okay, so there's so much that you can do. Double things. Okay. Again, I could go on and show you all kinds of different examples. But again, what this comes down to is creativity. Because on the surface, you can look at that and just go, oh, it's just an exercise. But that's your own fault for viewing it that way. I'm not trying to, like, bash you here. But the point I'm making is that you need to be more open-minded to these concepts, because creativity is probably the most important thing. It's why we pick up the instrument to begin with, right? At least most people. So, with that being said, when you start applying this and you start doing this sort of thing, what ends up happening is you start to discover your strengths. You start to figure out what works for you. And you start to think like, oh man, that feels really good. I like that. You also discover your weaknesses. This is extremely important for your progress. Because when you know your weaknesses, you start becoming hyper aware of your playing. And hyper awareness is the key to getting better. Because when you are hyper aware, okay, you start to catch little details that you did not catch before. Probably that most people listening to you won't catch. But that's not the point. You're doing this for yourself and for your own growth. So, as you do this, right, you become more hyper aware. And you start to figure out, okay, this is my weakness, and you can then start being more creative and developing more exercises rooted around this weakness, right? Like, oh, if this is a problem, maybe I should practice this problem on every string in different spots. It's very logical. But if you do that, a lot of cool things can happen. You can start coming up with cool ideas. Now, on the flip side of this, your strengths are equally as important. And some reasons why, well, for starters, if you know what your strengths are, it's just a lot more fun to play. It feels good. You feel like you're owning it, you know? So, that alone is a confidence booster and a motivator. And that's probably going to get you to practice a lot more. And with that being said, when you know what your strengths are, you can then exaggerate the living hell out of them. And by doing that, it kind of helps you establish your own voice on the instrument. And kind of like what makes you you, what your style is. And if you look at all the great guitar players all over the world, past, present, okay, they understood this. they catered to their own strengths. Sure, they worked on their weaknesses too, because they want to get better, they want to improve. But they exaggerated their strengths. And guess what? It worked. They're extremely memorable. You hear them, they have the confidence, they're in control. And that's really important. So, what I would say here is that, like, the takeaway is that if you want to really master the instrument and just have full control, you need to start being as creative as possible. Take everything you're learning and try to play it in different ways. I mean, you can even take the same idea and you can play that idea. Look, okay? I could alternate pick that. I could economy pick that. I could do legato. Right? I could do like full legato, like just pick, or I don't know, like no picking. Little string noise there, but that being said, I could also tap it. So, again, you can take things that you're used to playing and just start approaching them in different ways. You could down pick it all, you know, just try it with all upstrokes. Maybe your upstrokes turn out not good. So, get better at them by just doing everything with upstrokes. But again, it comes down to being creative. And it's kind of like problem solving in a way. So, this is something that I talk with my students a lot about. I'm always trying to find new ways that they can approach things, figure out what needs work, all that good stuff. I go very in depth when I teach. If you are interested in guitar lessons, I offer them privately. All you have to do is shoot me an email. I'll leave it in the description. But yeah, besides that, feel free to leave a comment and let me know what you think. And see if this works for you. And, you know, shoot me your progress in the comments. I'd love to hear back, see if this has actually worked for you and helped you improve. But I have found personally that this is the key to improvement. So, with that, happy guitar playing, happy shredding, and let's make this year an awesome year.